I spend a lot of time reviewing proposals and reports. Okay, maybe hacking up is a better term than reviewing. Anyway, I run across a lot of pet peevish type things that seem to be almost part of our culture. To be honest here though, I'm just as guilty as the next person in perpetuating some of these. So here's my attempt at rehabilitation and redemption. Let's start with some easy stuff. We're smart people. Sometimes though, we tend to overdo it in our writing. We use a bunch of complicated words when something more simple will suffice. For example, here's a classic one. At this point in time could just be written as now. Or due to the fact that could just be because. I just saw this one the other day. Our sample probe was in close proximity to the SIMS probe. In other words, it was near the SIMS probe. Here's a word that we way overutilize, or should I say, we overuse. Is utilizing 12 sample points any more sophisticated than using 12 sample points? Is this why we charge our customers so much? No, actually, it's because we do things in accordance with the methods. That sounds so impressive and legal. The other guys are just following the methods. Okay, let's look at some more pet peeves that are kind of obvious, but somehow that doesn't stop them from popping up. Let's talk about lists. If all you have is one item in a list, then it's not really a list at all. So you shouldn't bullet it or number it, just turn it into a sentence. Although there may be some exceptions, generally speaking, inanimate objects don't have possessive right in technical writing. So instead of the apostrophe S construction, spell it out. Of the probe, of the unit, etc. For example, don't write that the unit's average load was 537. Write that the average load of the unit was 537. Okay, now let's look at a few things that are a little more complicated and sometimes require us to go back to the grammar books. We use this construction a lot. It's not wrong. It's an unnecessary use of the passive voice. Leaves us sort of a blandification of the document. I much prefer using the active form as in Table 1 shows. Whatever you do, though, avoid this construction as can be seen in Table 1. This is just dreadful. The passive voice is not always easy to eliminate entirely, particularly from technical writing, where lots of times the person or the thing that's doing something isn't so well defined. But as much as you can, try to eliminate it. So instead of the stack was sampled, say that Clean Air sampled the stack. Or change the unit was operated to company XYZ operated the unit. There's a lot of other pet peeves I could discuss, but I'm almost out of time. Real quickly, let's just make sure we don't use it apostrophe S to mean the possessive form of it. Don't use the verb affect when we're talking about effects, or vice versa. Never, ever use the phrase data is. It's data are. Realize that e.g. means for example and i.e. means in other words. And that you always follow them with a comma like I've shown here. And that the word irregardless isn't a real word at all, regardless of who you see using it. Oh, never use regular quotes and apostrophes to stand in for inches and feet. I prefer to spell the words out in most cases, but if you're compelled to substitute, go to Insert Symbol and use ASCII characters 27 for feet, and for the double quotation for inches, use character 22. I'll leave you with a couple of opinions to ponder here. Our status quo at Clean Air is to never use a serial comma, aka the Oxford comma, before the word and in a series of 3 or more terms. My opinion is that we should use it, but the times that the comma clarifies the sentence far outweighs the rare times it adds ambiguity. And we typically put 2 spaces after a period. Well, unless you're typing your document on a typewriter, most people nowadays would say that 1 space is better. And I agree. What do you think?